Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, we're jumping right in today with a bit of a reality check. For literally decades, boardrooms everywhere have been operating under this incredibly dangerous illusion. And it's this idea that, to have true authority, you have to be this rigid, invulnerable wall, right? That command and control tactics are the absolute only way to drive peak performance. Well, today, we're going to completely shatter that myth.
So, it begs the question, is empathy just some soft luxury that we only bring out during the quiet times? If you're not in yes right now, hey, you're definitely not alone. But you're also wrong. The old paradigm is completely dead. In high-stakes environments, being rigid doesn't actually signal strength at all. It signals fear. True corporate authority is built on an unshakable foundation of what we call emotional clarity. And that's basically just the cognitive capacity to take your internal emotional states and actually leverage them to make superior strategic decisions.
And look, the hard-nosed empirical data totally backs this up. Empathy isn't just about being nice. No way. It is a massive, highly quantifiable strategic asset. To put this into perspective, we are talking about literally 450% more revenue for companies that build psychologically safe cultures. You also get a 25% boost in productivity because communication is just frictionless. Plus, 20% more employee engagement. Organizations led by empathetic executives see these massive viral returns simply because they connect with humanity. Okay, so let's actually dive into why this works on a biological level.
Section 1. The neurobiology of fear. Overcoming the amygdala hijack.
Right, so to truly lead effectively when the pressure is on, you really have to understand the biological machinery inside your team's brains because, believe it or not, there's a literal battle happening in their heads right now. We humans have this ancient negativity bias, which is just an evolutionary trick designed to make us register threats really intensely. So when a boss defaults to, say, explosive reactions or aggressive reprimands, it actually triggers the exact same neurochemical reaction as physical danger. It's wild. Stress just floods the brain with cortisol, and that completely shuts down the prefrontal cortex, which is the very place we need for strategic vision, innovation, and complex reasoning. Instead, the brain just hands the steering wheel right over to the amygdala, locking your team into a pure fight, flight, or freeze mode.
And the ultimate cost of this dynamic? It's pretty brutal. Basically, if your organization cannot function without you constantly intervening, you haven't built authority. You've built a dependency machine. When your team is stuck in that amygdala-driven fear state, innovation just dies, risk aversion absolutely skyrockets, and you, as the leader, end up trapped in this endless, exhausting cycle of micromanagement. It literally just breaks teams.
Section 2. The STEAR framework, the emotional clarity engine for leaders.
So the big question is, how do we fix this fear-based cycle? Well, India's leading mindset expert, Sohail Ahmed, created a really specific framework to pull empathy out of that abstract feel-good realm and turn it into a daily operational workflow. You can think of it like a literal compass, a navigational tool for modern leadership that guides everyone toward deep psychological safety and autonomous high-level performance.
Let's do a really quick breakdown of these 5 steps. Step 1 is signal safety. This means establishing super clear boundaries for risk, so your team can experiment without being terrified of taking the blame. Step 2 is the trigger audit. Remember that negativity bias we just talked about? You counter that by keeping a 3-to-1 ratio of positive to constructive feedback. It's actually a neurological prerequisite for keeping the brain's innovation center online. Then, step 3, engage SBI, which stands for Situation, Behavior, Impact. This is all about giving corrective feedback purely on the facts, keeping all that subjective, emotionally loaded judgment out of it. Step 4 is acknowledge gaps, model vulnerability, publicly own your mistakes, and admit what you don't know. And finally, step 5, reinforce ownership. Just take a step back from the micromanaging and let your team actually execute autonomously.
Now, I know a lot of leaders get nervous here. They think stepping back and showing vulnerability is going to strip away their power. But look at the flow of the empathy-authority loop. When a leader models vulnerability, it broadcasts psychological safety. And that safety, it breeds autonomous, high-performing teams, which, ironically enough, actually compounds and deepens the leader's true authority and confidence. It's an amazing, self-reinforcing engine of respect.
Section 3. High-stakes case studies. Empathy in action at the highest levels.
But I know what you're thinking. Does this framework actually hold up in the cutthroat world of global business? Oh, absolutely. Take Satya Nadella taking over at Microsoft. The very first thing he did was completely dismantle their toxic stack ranking system, which, by the way, literally forced employees to sabotage each other. He swapped out a know-it-all culture of fear for a learn-it-all culture of empathy. The result? Microsoft's market cap exploded from $300 billion to over $3 trillion. Unbelievable. Then there's former PepsiCo CEO Indra Nooyi. She basically weaponized empathy, forging this fierce organizational loyalty just by sending handwritten letters of gratitude directly to the parents of her top executives. And look at elite sports. Former Indian cricket captain MS Dhoni is famous for maintaining absolute emotional composure under the most extreme pressure imaginable. By doing that, he kept his entire team prefrontal dominant when it mattered most, instead of letting them play out of panic and fear.
Section 4. The architecture of self-esteem, forged in the crucible of adversity.
To really grasp the power of this emotional clarity framework, we have to look at the guy who built it. Sohail Ahmed's deeply human story is proof of how intense personal trials forge real expertise. Back when he was in just 12th grade, his father was diagnosed with a severe illness and their family business completely collapsed. His safety net just vanished overnight. A couple of years later, he channeled his entrepreneurial spirit into a call center training venture in Jamnagar, but after 2 really demanding years, that failed too. But here's the thing. These massive crucibles taught him a truth that business schools almost always miss. When a crisis hits, fear-based control will fracture your systems every single time. So he pivoted. He moved to Delhi, built a highly flexible, scalable, database-driven model, and completely evolved his business architecture and his leadership mindset at the exact same time. Fast forward to 2014, and he transitioned all of that hard-won knowledge into global thought leadership.
And that brings us to a really powerful piece of philosophy from Sohail. He says, curiosity is the engine of lifelong growth. When you replace ego with curiosity and fear with emotional clarity, you stop demanding authority and start commanding respect. It's brilliant, right? Despite facing immense hardship, his relentless internal drive, which was fueled almost entirely by curiosity, allowed him to unlock all this latent human potential. And today, he's out there sharing that exact wisdom with leaders in over 116 countries.
Section 5. Transform your leadership today. Take the next step in your growth. So how can you actually apply this life-changing philosophy to your own career and your own team? Well, if you're a corporate executive or a leader tuning into this explainer and you really want to elevate your strategic impact, here is your roadmap. First things first, you need to subscribe to the Confidence Compass newsletter right now. It is absolutely packed with incredible values-based performance insights. Second, definitely make sure you follow Sohail Ahmed at @MentorSohail across all your social platforms to get your daily dose of life transformational content. And finally, if you want to bring this kind of high-impact mindset transformation directly to your organization, invite Sohail Ahmed to speak at your next corporate event. I'm telling you, taking these exact steps will fundamentally change how you lead.
Which leads us with one final, kind of provocative question for you to chew on today. What is one actionable step that you will take this week to model emotional clarity for your team? I really want to hear your specific strategies, so go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments down below right now. And hey, if this explainer shattered some of your old illusions about leadership, please don't forget to like this explainer, share it with a colleague who really needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you these powerful insights. Until next time, keep your curiosity live, lead with clarity, and go create results that last.